What's going on, guys? In today's video I'm going to be doing some much needed maintenance to the Griffin GT712 dump trailer. I actually recently did a 1-year review on the trailer, but anyway, in today's video I gotta grease up the axles, grease the hinge points. I have a nail in one of the rear tires, and these trailer tires can be tricky to plug because they're a higher load rated tire, so they're a bit thicker and there's more steel banding, so it's a lot more difficult to plug these tires. So I'll go over my technique for plugging the tire. And the other thing I got to do is just check the torque on all the lug nuts, because I haven't done that since I own the trailer, which I probably should have done it, you know, as soon as I brought it home. But we're going to check that, and that'll be that for the dump trailer. So before we get ready to pull the nail out of the tire, we want to get our stuff ready. We want to be ready to go because we want to try and get that hole plugged up before we lose too much air. So the first thing you do, take your plug, flatten it out a little bit if you can. Not a bad idea to wear gloves. What we're going to do, we're going to thread it through this plug insertion tool. After you get it through, you're going to want to pull this through about halfway. Alright, got it through halfway. Next thing I'm going to do, open up this lube. I'm going to put a little bit of lube on the end of this thing. And this will just help push this plug into the tire. Don't have to go too crazy, I'm just trying to get some of this lube off honestly right now. But okay, so here's the nail in the tire. I'm going to explain what's going to happen because it's going to happen pretty quick. The first thing I'm going to do is take my needle nose pliers, pull this nail out of here. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take my drill, and I have this tire reaming bit. And what I'm going to do, immediately after pulling out that nail, I'm going to stick this bit in here, and I'm going to make this opening a bit larger. The reason I need to make it a bit larger is because I need to make sure that I can insert this plug in here to seal up this hole. If I tried to insert this plug in here immediately after taking out this nail, there'd be no way I'd be able to get this in there by hand. Another thing, one of the main reasons why I'm using this reamer bit is because this is a heavy-duty trailer tire. So, as mentioned earlier, it's going to be thicker rubber, there's going to be more steel banding, so it's going to be hard to ream out this hole. Like if I was doing a light car tire, I would use this reamer. This is included in the kit, so, you know, on a small car tire, pull out the nail, insert this reamer in there, give it a couple twists, maybe 10-15 twists, pull that out, and then you should be able to get this plug in there no problem. But because of the extra steel banding in here, we're going to have to be more aggressive. I may not get this on the first time, but I've done this once on this trailer already, so I have a pretty good understanding of what's going to go down. Okay. Alright, it wasn't pretty. I'd used my knee a little bit, but I got her in there, and that is a very tight plug. So, after you insert the plug into the tire, all you need to do is simply pull your tool right out, and that's pretty much that. Your tire's plugged. Now there is one other final thing you gotta do. Well, there's two things actually. There should be a little bit of the plug, there should be like two tails of the plug still sticking out. So what we need to do is we need to cut that off. Typically I do that with a razor blade. And the second thing I do is I air up the tire to normal PSI, which for this tire, I think it's around 70. I'm going to have to check the sidewall and make sure. 80 PSI, yeah, so I run about 70 in there. And after I load this tire up to 70 PSI, I'm just going to spray a little liquid in here and see if I see any bubbles, and that'll tell me whether this plug was a good repair or not. Okay, I got the tire at 70 psi. Let's give this plug a couple squirts. See if we see any bubbles. Can't say that I'm seeing any bubbles, but this is still something that I'm definitely going to want to keep an eye on. But as for now, this is a good repair. Alright, next thing I'm going to do here is check the torque on the lug nuts. So for my trailer, I have 1/2" 20 studs, and that calls for 90 to 120 foot-pounds. I'm going to go with 120 foot-pounds. Alright, I have my 13/16 bit, a little bit of an extension on there, and this torque wrench is set to 120 foot-pounds. So let's see where we're at here. That one's perfect. Pretty good. A little loose. A little loose. A little loose. Of course, these may have been set to like 90. Alright, the final thing I need to do today is I need to grease everything on this trailer, starting with the easy grease axles. And these are pretty easy to do. All you do is take a flathead screwdriver. There's a little like rubber cap. Just sneak it in here and you pop out these caps. And you can see all the grease that's been flung around in. Well, you can't really see it, but I can see it. Trust me, there's grease that's been flung around in there. So, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about grease now because I think now is a good time to talk about grease. The grease I'm going to be using today, again, not sponsored. I like Lucas extra heavy-duty grease, and this is kind of like an all-purpose grease. Heavy-duty trucks, farm equipment, good for high temperature, high-speed bearings, irregular maintenance. So I like this stuff. This is good stuff. I already have a tube in my grease gun, but just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Again, you can't really see that, but it's kind of like green. But anyway, when it comes to grease, this is something that not a lot of people really take note upon, but when it comes to buying tubes of grease, there will always be an NLGI number on that tube of grease. And commonly, like the most common number you see is 2. And basically what that NLGI number represents is the grease's viscosity. So these numbers range from triple aught, so 000, all the way up to 6. An NLGI 6 grease is like really viscous. It's really sticky. It doesn't flow very easily, but it's like really thick. As opposed to like a triple aught grease that has like the consistency of like vegetable oil, so it's really thin. So you want to try and match your grease's viscosity to its application. And for most general applications, most of you don't have to worry because an NLGI rating of 2 is really, you know, the proper rating for like wheel bearings and hinge fittings. 4, 5, 6. I don't know. I'm gonna give it about 6 pumps. I'll do that with the other axle too. But yeah, these Dexter Easy Lube axles are just a dream to work with. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you know, every 6 months, I'll just pop these covers off and I'll grease up the axles. Really easy to do, really quick. I've said it a few times, but one thing I really like about this trailer is there are 3 hinges in the back of the trailer. I really like that because that really spreads out the weight over 3 hinges as opposed to, you know, most trailers where you just have 2 outer hinges. This one has one in the middle as well, so I do like that about this trailer. One of my mechanic friends from work gave me a little tip, and you guys tell me what you think about this. He said, if you're ever going to buy a trailer or any kind of piece of equipment that has grease fittings on it, do yourself a favor and take a grease gun with you. Now when you get there and inspect a piece of equipment, try and run some grease through some of the fittings on that piece of equipment. If the grease runs through that grease fitting smoothly and easily, that tells you that the previous owner has been keeping up with the maintenance. Because I believe what happens if you don't keep adding grease into these grease fittings, and dust and dirt and debris and hard old grease kind of like backtracks into the grease fitting and into the joint, and it just makes it really hard to get grease through those fittings. So really important to grease your equipment regularly. I just finished greasing the underside of the trailer here. The final thing I need to do is I need to put a little bit of wire loom on this hydraulic line that has been rubbing on this corner ever since I bought the trailer, and it's chewed in there probably, I don't know, 1/2 millimeter. If you ever have a hydraulic line going across something sharp like that, just don't procrastinate it. Deal with it immediately. Put some chafing gear on there. Put some wire loom. Just do something. It's not perfect, but it's a little bit better than what it was. And with that, I'm going to conclude this video. Thanks for watching. I will catch you on the next one.